Hello friends, how are you? My name is Muhammad Assadullah and I am going to explain you about NFPA72, which is National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code today. Before I start the course, I just want to introduce myself. Hello everyone, my name is Muhammad Assadullah and I'm working as a senior fire protection engineer with AESG Consulting Company, and I have experience of 14 years in fire and life safety, specialization in inspection, testing, commissioning of fire protection system. I'm also certified as a CFPS, CFI1 and CFA ITMS from NFPA. Today I will be your trainer for this session on NFPA 72, where we will explore key requirements of the fire alarm system and practical inspection insights. My goal is to make this session interactive and useful for your daily work. Please feel free to ask questions at any time. And before we dive in, I could quickly uh, have your comments in the chat section. Well, we'll move on to the next slide. This is a very important slide, which is the learning objective. First, we need to understand the scope and the purpose of NFPA 72. What is NFPA 72? NFPA 72 is National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code. It establishes minimum requirement for the application, installation, performance, inspection, testing, maintenance of fire alarm and emergency communication system. And after this session, we will have an hands-on experience on NFPA 72 about the installation, testing and commissioning and maintenance procedures of the fire alarm system. Yes, NFPA 72 scope. In this slide, we'll learn about NFPA 72 scope, where the NFPA 72 applies, and what it ensures. NFPA 72 applies to all fire alarm systems, supervision stations, and emergency control systems. And what it ensures? It ensures life safety, property protection, emergency response. And there are some critical chapters, code structures, and key chapters in NFPA 72, which highlights which is very useful for the practitioners. Chapter 1, for example, chapter 1, which is administration, which explains about the scope and application where NFPA 72 is used. And we have chapter 7, which is the main for the documentation for the plans, records, as well and shop drawings. Whereas chapter 10 clearly explains us about the fundamentals of the power supply, circuits, types of circuits, and signal priority. And chapter 14, which is the very important of NFPA 72, it explains everything about the inspection, testing, and maintenance procedures, the frequencies, record keeping. And the next is chapter 17, initiating devices. In this, all the devices such as smoke detectors, heat detectors, manual stations, and all the initiating devices comes under this chapter. And we have a very brief explanation about the installation procedures. Whereas chapter 18 clearly guides us for the notification devices where audibility, visible alarms, and the mounting heights all are mentioned. Whereas chapter 21 it clearly explains about the emergency control functions, which explains about the door release, HVAC shutdowns, elevator recalls. The next chapter is chapter 23, protected premises systems, which is the requirement of the fire alarm panels. And the last chapter is emergency, chapter 24, emergency communication systems, which is also called as a mass notification and voice evacuation system. Now let's move on to the key fire alarm key system components. The main key components of the fire alarm system is fire alarm control unit, initiating device, notification appliances, and power supply. We'll come We'll have a breakdown of all this. We'll discuss this in more briefly. Fire alarm control panel. Fire alarm control panel is the brain of the fire alarm detection system. It monitors all inputs such as manual and automatic detection and activates the output devices such as horns, bells, stops, and other building controls. There are two types of fire alarm control panels. One is conventional and another is addressable system. Conventional system. Conventional system is very simple in design, divides the buildings into zones. When the fire is detected, the panel is only indicated in the zone in which the fire is activated, but not the specific zone. Second type is addressable system. Addressable system is more advanced. Each fire alarm device and component has a unique address, and the panel can pinpoint the exact location of the alarm. And the next initiating device is the smoke detectors, which is very important for NFPA 72. Smoke detectors or the alarms provide early warnings in the event of fire, which can save lives and prevent property damage. Smoke detectors work by sensing smoke particles in the air. There are two types of smoke detectors. First is ionization smoke detectors, which acts quicker to detect flaming and fast fires. The second category is photoelectric smoke detectors, which are better by sensing smoldering and slow fires. Another type of initiating device is heat detectors. Heat detectors are generally designed to activate where they can detect a significant increase of temperature or when the thermal energy of an area reaches a predetermined level, indicating the presence of the fire. Different types of fire detection. It is a different type of fire detection and they do not notice a smoke. There are two types of heat detectors. One is fixed temperature heat detector. In this type of heat detector, it triggers when the temperature reaches a threshold between 57 degrees Celsius to 92 degrees Celsius. And the second category is the rate of rise heat detectors. Detector is in this type of detector detects a rapid increase in the temperature at 6.7 degrees to 8.3 degrees per minute or more regardless of starting temperature. Whereas another type of detectors include rate compensation heat detectors, beam detectors, Wesda system, flame detectors, linear heat detection cables. Another type of initiating device is manual pull station or manual call point. Manual call points are the devices used to manually initiate a fire alarm signal in the event of fire or emergency. Devices are generally mounted on the walls in easy accessible and visible locations throughout the building. Whereas we have notification devices. Notification devices, we have horn stops. Horn stops are the combination of the both audible and visual. Notification devices used to alert building occupants in case of fire. Horn. What is horn? Horn is Horn usually emits a loud sound to alert the people. Strobe. What is a strobe? Strobe light provides a visual warning useful in a noisy environment or for hearing impaired. Well, well, we have learned about the documentation requirements in our previous slide. Chapter 7 from NFPA 72 clearly states about the documentation requirements for the fire alarm system, which mainly includes the record drawings as well as shop drawings, material submittals, or technical data sheets, owner manuals and programming records, record of completions. Well, let's move on to very interesting slide, which is the installation requirements, which is chapter 14 of NFPA 72, which clearly explains a brief about installation, testing, and maintenance procedures. Well, we have a small brief idea about the circuits. Circuits are There are many circuits we used in the fire alarm system, class A, class B, class X, class Z, and we have path survivability of 2 hours, fire rating for the circuit critical circuits, and the main thing is we have device spacing for the smoke and versus smoke, heat detectors, and the corridor rules. One of the interesting topic is testing and inspection frequencies. We have in chapter 17 of NFPA 72, it clearly states about the ITMs, inspection, testing, and maintenance procedures, and the frequencies of the fire alarm devices, and the records and the frequencies. Well, few examples are listed below. It's weekly, supervisory signals as applicable. Monthly, we check the batteries, interface equipments. Semi-annual, functional testing of devices. Annual, 100% testing of the system components. Well, here in this slide, emergency communication system. Emergency communication system generally explains about voice evacuation system, mass notification system, and it integrates with the fire alarm system. In this slide, we will discuss about the responsibilities of the fire alarm system. Usually, the owner is responsible for the system maintenance. The service provider should be qualified and trained, and authority having jurisdiction usually reviews and enforces the code and standards. Whereas the designer ensures the system layout complies with the NFPA 72, and installation contractor follows the approved drawings and the manufacturer recommendations. As we move on to our last slide, which is the summary and the reference, NFPA 72, what NFPA 72 exactly ensures is the reliability of the fire alarm system. You need to keep in mind NFPA 72 is equal to the design plus installation plus testing plus maintenance of the fire alarm system. It covers the design, installation, testing, and maintenance. It ensures the system reliability, effectively, and code compliant. We always need to refer NFPA 72 and NFPA 70 also. Thank you.